an enemy strike on a children's hospital in Kherson, an Allied plan to end the war, and a scandal involving suspicions against top officials. All this and more right now. Hello friends, I'm Irina Prokofieva and this is TSN. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch the broadcast, and be sure to comment on what you found most interesting. Here are some of the topics in today's episode. The situation is critical.
Wait, maybe they need help. Stay alive.
The Russians are claiming our forces are surrounded in Pokrovsk. What is really happening in the city that the occupiers have been trying to capture for over a year? Exclusive footage from TSN correspondents. 3 floors up in the air.
That explosion blew off these outer doors. The doors fell on me, pinned me down, and I lay down because I thought it was a missile.
In Khmelnytskyi, an explosion destroyed a multi-story building. Was it a terrorist attack or a gas explosion? What versions are investigators considering, and where can people who have been left homeless go? The Russians have concentrated about 11,000 soldiers to encircle the Pokrovsk agglomeration. Some of the occupiers are trying to advance to the north and northwest of the city, but Ukrainian defenders are holding their positions. This was reported by the 7th Corps of the Air Assault Forces. So, what is happening in Pokrovsk right now? Special TSN correspondent Yulia Karenko will tell us more.
Pull if you have the reel. Thank you so much, God.
This is how Russian drones hunt even civilian cars in Donetsk region. This is the entrance to Kostiantynivka, once a city of thousands, now just scorched earth. On the highway, a car is burning out, having been hit by an enemy drone, and another one speeds past it. The soldiers are rushing to their positions, and as soon as they enter the city, another drone comes flying at them.
Wait, maybe they need help. Please, stay alive for me now.
A bit further from the frontline towns, the roads are draped with long corridors of netting. This is what almost all the roads in Donetsk region look like now. Every day, these tunnels are getting longer and longer. In some places, the occupiers have increased the number of drones tenfold. They attack moving vehicles, search for our equipment positions, set up ambushes right on the roads, and even target infantry. They force people to leave their homes and disrupt logistics for our troops, cutting off all routes between the frontline trenches and the rear. In the forest belt, hidden among the dense trees, paratroopers are concealing an American APC. I'm inside an American Stryker APC. The guys from the 82nd Brigade consider this vehicle the coolest they've ever worked with. It's all thanks to its strong armor and maneuverability. This vehicle saved dozens of people in Kherson, and it was this vehicle that broke into a counterattack near Dobropilya, back when the Russians hadn't yet managed to bring in their strike drones. This vehicle has repeatedly carried infantry into assaults, and always successfully.
We went on the offensive, and as a result, the column was hit, and then after that, the drone struck. An anti-tank guided missile hit as well. 4 tires were blown out, but out of 8, we still drove out on 4.
It can fit up to 6 soldiers and safely deliver them to the drop-off point.
The 12.7 caliber machine gun is extremely accurate. The armor, it's very, very well protected.
The powerful chassis allows it to handle any off-road conditions of war.
The vehicle is maneuverable, fast, and excellent.
But this vehicle has already been hiding in the thickets for a month, because with the sheer number of Russian drones currently present in the Dobropilya-Pokrovsk direction, using it would be a one-time thing at best.
At present, the enemy does not allow us to use this equipment, so we are forced to rely on ATVs and buggies instead.
Or even cover dozens of kilometers on foot, as shown in this video published by the 25th Airborne Brigade. These are our pilots, who, after a firefight in Pokrovsk, are trying to evacuate a wounded comrade while moving under constant fire. While near Dobropilya, our defense forces are achieving successes and have even liberated the village of Suketske, in Pokrovsk the occupiers have brought in significant reinforcements, and Russian infantry is already being spotted deep within residential neighborhoods in the southwest, near the railway area. Our drones spotted a tricolor flag on the stele in Pokrovsk. Eventually, it was shot down, but this means that the road to Mirnorad is already at risk of being blocked, and there is a whole agglomeration of defense forces there. It is becoming increasingly difficult for our infantry to hold their positions in the trenches near the village of Lysivka. A similar situation is unfolding in the village of Novokinomishne near Mirnograd. Supplying food and ammunition to our soldiers, even by drones, is already bordering on the impossible, say the Defense Forces, and they are looking for ways to unblock their own. Yulia Kirienko, Alexander Shian, TSN 1+1.
An enemy train was blown up in the Zaporizhzhia region, according to the Main Intelligence Directorate. The explosion occurred on the railway near Tokmak, in the temporarily occupied territory. As a result of a successful operation by representatives of the Ukrainian resistance movement, a train loaded with military cargo was derailed. 1 locomotive, 3 railway platforms, and at least 9 freight cars of the enemy military train were damaged. Russian logistics in this area have been paralyzed. About 70 meters of railway track were damaged, up to 9. The number of people injured as a result of the Russian attack on the children's hospital in Kherson has increased. The occupiers struck it in the morning. Police specify that among the injured are 3 staff members and 4 children aged 8, 9, 15, and 16. The medical staff sustained injuries of varying severity, with 1 person in serious condition. The children suffered cuts as well as blast and shrapnel wounds. The building sustained significant damage, with offices and wards destroyed and equipment smashed. The functional diagnostics department was hit the hardest. After the shelling, not a single window in the building remained intact.
This morning, the facility was shelled. As a result of the shelling, the automated management system and ultrasound diagnostics departments were damaged. 4 people were injured, 1 child and 3 staff members. 1 person is in serious condition.
They will discuss the plan to end the war, which is being developed by the coalition of willing countries. The President of Ukraine has announced a meeting between representatives of our country and the European Union. According to Volodymyr Zelensky, it will take place on Friday or Saturday. Earlier this week, Volodymyr Zelensky said in an interview with Axios that Ukraine, together with its allies, would develop the peace plan within 7 to 10 days. The plan includes, in particular, strengthening our air defense and unblocking Russian assets to aid Ukraine. According to reports, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer proposed putting forward a peace initiative modeled after Trump's plan for the Gaza Strip. Last week, Zelensky discussed this with other European leaders as well. Although the situations in Ukraine and Gaza are different, the politician expressed a willingness to work on the plan and also noted that it should be brief, without too many details. At the same time, the president of Ukraine has serious doubts that the Kremlin leader, Putin, will accept any proposals from the coalition of the willing. Polish fighter jets intercepted a Russian aircraft over the Baltic Sea. The local armed forces command released a photo of the Il-20. According to the Poles, the aircraft did not violate Polish airspace. However, it entered international airspace to carry out a reconnaissance mission without filing a flight plan and with its transponder turned off. A pair of Polish MiG-29 fighter jets took off to intercept the Russian aircraft and escorted the Il-20 out. Germany plans to equip its brigade in Lithuania with thousands of kamikaze drones. This was reported by the British publication Financial Times. Sources of the publication said that German startups and the country's largest contractor, Rheinmetall, are receiving a share of a contract worth about 300 million euros. Under the agreement, 3 companies are obligated to supply up to 12,000 strike drones to the new German brigade stationed in Lithuania, with the aim of protecting NATO's eastern flank from Russia. Against the backdrop of Russian provocations, European countries are striving to strengthen their capabilities in drone warfare and to implement technologies both for defending against enemy drones and for using drones to strike enemy targets. He rattled his saber and boasted about imaginary successes on the front line. Vladimir Putin, against the backdrop of failed negotiations with the United States and Western-imposed sanctions, has for the second time in the past 2 weeks announced the testing of nuclear weapons. This time, it was allegedly about the Poseidon underwater drone with a nuclear engine, although there is no confirmation of this. But the Kremlin dictator spoke about it during a meeting with patients at the Mandryk Central Military Clinical Hospital. According to him, the device was able for the first time to begin operating from its carrier submarine and start up its nuclear power unit, which it uses for energy. And of course, there are no analogs. In addition to saber rattling, Putin began boasting before the military about illusory achievements on the front in Ukraine and the encirclement of Pokrovsk, addressing the Ukrainian authorities. In recent weeks, the Russian leader has regularly resorted to the tactic of making threats. Just last week, Russia conducted a test of a cruise missile with a nuclear power unit called Burevestnik. Clearly, such a show of force was aimed at an international audience, particularly the United States, with whom recent talks in Budapest collapsed, and who, together with the EU, have imposed some of the most severe energy sanctions that will hit the Kremlin's oil market, the main source powering their war machine. Donald Trump, responding to such provocations from Putin, reminded him of America's powerful weaponry and advised the Russian leader to focus on ending the war in Ukraine instead of testing missiles. The reduction of the United States military contingent will not affect the EU's defense projects. This is how the European Commission commented on today's news about the withdrawal of American troops from several Eastern European countries. A spokesperson for the agency stated that they will continue working on the flagship defense project, Eastern Flank Watch, which they plan to launch in the first quarter of next year. Brussels also clarified that they are currently working with various member states and Ukraine on their own defense. NATO stated that they are in close contact with Washington regarding troop deployments. An unnamed official told Reuters that today's decision did not come as a surprise to them, and that even with these adjustments, the number of US troops in Europe remains higher than it has been for many years. Overall, the United States plans to withdraw about 800 of its troops from countries such as Romania, Bulgaria, Slovakia, and Hungary. This decision is driven by the new priorities of the Donald Trump administration regarding the reassessment of the global positions of the U.S. armed forces. In particular, the American side believes that other NATO countries have already strengthened their presence on the eastern flank, so supposedly there is no longer a need for their troops. Romania assured that they were aware of this decision in advance and emphasized that a certain number of American troops will still remain in the country.
This reassessment of positions is part of a broader strategy announced by the United States at the beginning of the year. During the meeting of NATO defense ministers in Brussels, Pete Hegseth, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, once again informed European partners that now, as Europeans have strengthened their positions on the eastern flank and in Europe as a whole, and have agreed to better arm themselves, they will devote more attention to their own defense. The United States, in turn, will focus more attention on the Indo-Pacific region. Approximately 1,000 American military personnel will remain in Romania, contributing to the deterrence of any threats and serving as a guarantee of the United States' commitment to regional security.
What do you think? Will the withdrawal of American troops from Eastern Europe affect Putin's ambitions? Be sure to share your opinion in the comments to this broadcast on YouTube. Of course, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Meanwhile, I will continue with the TSN broadcast. At the site of the explosion in Khmelnytskyi, rescuers are still clearing the rubble. The preliminary version remains a household gas explosion, although other versions are not being ruled out. The police have already determined in which apartment the explosion occurred. And in the morning, 2 bodies were pulled from under the debris, and another 5 people were injured. Our Anna Makhno will share the latest updates from the scene of the tragedy.
Rescuers are carefully dismantling the structure of the apartment building. Climbers have been brought in, special equipment from the State Emergency Service is at work, and a search and rescue operation is underway here. Meter by meter, rescuers are inspecting the ruins and clearing the debris. A 52-year-old woman may be under them. The State Emergency Service says there is no contact with her. She went missing after the explosion. The blast occurred in this building in Khmelnytskyi at around 3 p.m. yesterday. The explosion was so powerful that locals say it was heard in different parts of the city. At first, people thought it was a missile strike.
We heard the explosion. We were very scared. I immediately grabbed the air raid alert map. I checked, but there were no alerts. Well, we got scared and ran out into the hallway.
Miss Tetiana lives nearby. Later, she thought that several floors had collapsed in the neighboring building.
I have an acquaintance who lives here in the second entrance. Thank God, indeed, they weren't hurt there, thankfully.
But at the site of the explosion, police later reported that 5 people were injured, including a 12-year-old child, police spokesperson Inna Hlega said by phone.
One man sustained injuries that included several cuts caused by broken glass shards, which required him to seek medical attention. Additionally, 4 other individuals needed assistance because they were experiencing acute stress reactions as a result of the incident. According to the information, a possible cause of the explosion could have been a household gas blast.
What else could have caused such destruction? Other versions are also being considered, but they have not been disclosed yet. The explosion destroyed 9 apartments and damaged another 15, according to the military administration.
The City Council is working to register everyone who may need assistance with temporary relocation for the duration of the necessary work until the consequences are fully eliminated.
At the scene, all emergency services have set up a resilience point with Red Cross representatives nearby.
First and foremost, psychological first aid was provided to the residents of this area and directly to the residents of the apartments. Right now, we are supporting the rescuers preparing hot drinks and hot meals.
At the same time, city residents have also gathered.
To offer support, maybe to hope that she is still alive.
And which floor does she live on?
The fourth.
This is an acquaintance of the missing woman who says her name is Mrs. Larissa. And this is Mr. Volodymyr, a state emergency service dog handler with four-legged Nebraska.
She is trained to search for people on the rubble, survivors.
They have already tried to find the missing woman. So far it's been in vain, but they aren't giving up. They're waiting for when their help will be needed again.
Maybe after the upper layers where the collapse happened are removed, there's always a chance that the person is still alive. Of course, I hope that the woman will survive, will make it. It's just that I feel sorry for the people, really sorry. We're all in a state of shock.
But unfortunately, the miracle that both the locals and the rescuers were hoping for did not happen. At 2:30 in the night, the body of a woman was found under the rubble, and after 5 in the morning, the body of a 42-year-old man was also discovered. Anna Makhno, Alexander Kovtunets, Khmelnytskyi region, TSN 1+1.